This is Project Grimfield,
Grimfield
Episode
Chapter
1, Rising Tension by David Hooker. This audiobook uses AI-generated
pressure.
narration.
The morning sun slanted through the blinds, illuminating the small Holloway kitchen. The faint smell of burnt toast mixed with the sharp scent of toothpaste. Samantha Holloway, in her early to mid-30s, leaned over the counter, flipping pancakes. Her voice carried through the house as she yelled, "David, breakfast is ready!" From the bathroom, 12-year-old David Holloway poked his head out, his mouth full of toothpaste. He muffled a response as he hurriedly swallowed. "Oh, okay," he called back. He wiped the foam from the corners of his mouth and walked into the kitchen. His oversized hoodie sleeves hung past his hands, and his jeans were baggy. He climbed onto a chair at the table, fidgeting with his backpack strap while nibbling at a piece of toast. Crumbs fell onto the table. Andrew Holloway sat across from him, arms crossed and jaw tight. The air felt tense. "Son, remember, focus on school today. I don't want to get any calls," Andrew said. "Okay," David replied. "And I don't want to hear about you being distracted." Samantha placed a hand lightly on Andrew's arm. "He heard you. Don't work yourself up." David nodded quickly, looking down at his toast. He fidgeted with the corner of his hoodie sleeve, chewing quietly. A brief silence filled the kitchen, broken only by the soft scrape of a fork against a plate. The family stepped outside into the crisp morning air. David adjusted his hoodie nervously, his hands twisting the drawstrings as they walked toward the car parked at the curb. "I don't want to hear any complaints today," Andrew warned. Samantha rested a hand on his shoulder. "He heard you. Don't make it worse." David climbed into the back seat, slumping against the door. As Andrew started the car and pulled away, David watched the house fade behind him, his hoodie partially covering his face. At the school driveway, David hopped out of the car, slinging his backpack over one shoulder, nervously adjusted his oversized hoodie, fidgeting with the drawstrings. Asia Davis spotted him and jogged up, her backpack bouncing lightly. "Hey, David," she said. "Hey, Asia. Want to walk and talk for a bit?" "Sure," David answered. They walked side by side toward the school entrance. David continued to fidget with his hoodie strings, while Asia swung her arms naturally. Inside, the hallway smelled faintly of chalk, disinfectant, and locker metal. Students chattered as they moved between classes. "Did you finish the periodic table assignment for Mr. Grimfield?" Asia asked. David let out a nervous chuckle, his voice low. "Not yet. I'm, working on it periodically." They laughed softly together, the sound swallowed by passing students. A brief silence followed as they walked. David kept his gaze slightly down, adjusting his hoodie. "I hope you're joking," Asia said. "It's due Wednesday." "Do you ever feel like Mr. Grimfield hates me?" David asked. "Honestly, I think he hates everyone." "Yeah, but sometimes it feels like he hates me more than the others." Asia stopped and touched his shoulder lightly. "Well, if he hates you, then he probably hates me too." David froze slightly, his heart racing. He couldn't look at her, so he focused on the floor, his hands fidgeting in his hoodie. Asia noticed his sudden stillness and the faint blush on his cheeks. She pulled her hand back slightly, a small, shy apology in her voice. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I just don't want you thinking badly about yourself. Let's go to class," she said as the bell rang. David swallowed hard. A small smile tugged at his lips, but he didn't speak. His mind was spinning. He liked the contact, but didn't know how to say it. Asia kept walking beside him, cautious but unaware. Inside the classroom, Mr. Jack Grimfield stood at the front. His tan corduroy jacket was crisp, and his glasses were perched low on his nose. Slouched in his chair, the oversized hoodie swallowing him. He fidgeted with his pencil, avoiding eye contact. Asia sat nearby, her notebook open, glancing at him occasionally. "Holloway, I'm surprised you even bothered showing up," Grimfield said. David kept his eyes on his desk, twisting his pencil in silence. Grimfield's eyes flicked toward Asia. He caught the quick glance she and David exchanged, the subtle, nervous smiles. His lips pressed thin. "Ms. Davis, you've been doing very well in my class," Grimfield said, his voice sharp and cutting. "I don't want someone distracting you." Asia flushed slightly but stayed quiet. She glanced at David, who fidgeted nervously under her gaze, his cheeks pink. "Holloway, I'm going to say this slowly so it sinks in, Grimfield said, his voice harder as he turned back to David. You will not ruin the opportunity of one of my best students. Not now, not ever. Ms. Davis has the potential to be a star student, unlike you. Do you understand what I'm saying? You will not interfere with her chance to succeed. Do you promise me that? Yes, sir. I promise, David said, his voice barely above a whisper. Grimfield nodded curtly and turned back to the front of the room. Good. Don't let his stupidity rub off on you, Miss Davis. I don't think he's stupid, Asia said quietly under her breath. David fidgeted, his ears burning and his hoodie pulled tighter. He liked the small defense from Asia, but kept silent, nervous and awkward. His mind raced. He was embarrassed, flustered, and secretly pleased. Later that morning, sunlight streamed through the tall windows, illuminating the chalk dust in the air. The old wall clock ticked steadily as the minute hand crept toward 12. David sat slouched in his chair, his head resting lightly on his folded arms. His eyelids drooped. Mr. Grimfield's voice began to filter into David's drowsy mind, the words slowing and stretching.
All right, class. Let's get something clear before lunch. Your nature project due this Friday.
David's head drooped further, his pencil slipping from his fingers, the words warped in his half-conscious mind. Asia noticed his heavy eyelids but said nothing. Just keep awake. Just 12. David murmured softly to himself. The minutes crawled. Mr. Grimfield's voice became a slow, distant hum. Then, suddenly, the voice snapped, sharp and piercing, as Mr. Grimfield yelled, Holloway, Nature Project, Friday. David bolted upright, eyes wide and heart racing. He grabbed his pencil, his hoodie sleeves twisting nervously. He glanced at the chalkboard, where the words, Nature Project due Friday, were written in bold letters. Asia slid a folded note across the desk. David picked it up and unfolded it carefully. It read, Keep your head up. A small smile tugged at the corner of his lips. He glanced at Asia briefly, his cheeks warming, and straightened slightly in his chair, gripping his pencil more firmly. At noon, David stood at his locker, shoving his books inside harder than necessary. He paused, his fists clenched and his breathing shallow. I hate him so much, he whispered to himself. Asia approached, slowing when she heard his tone. I can't believe he thinks you're holding me back. That's not fair, at all. David froze, his jaw tightening. He slammed his locker shut. The sound echoed through the hall. I hate his class so much, he said, his voice rising. It makes me not want to exist. David, don't say things like that, Asia warned. David turned, his eyes sharp and shaking. No, I really hate myself. His eyes filled with tears, and he wiped at them angrily. He ruined everything. All those stupid conferences. Every time he called my parents in, I got whooped. I got told I was wrong. Every single time. He made them hate me. He made them look at me like I'm a problem. Asia stepped closer, unsure. We'll figure it out. Every day is literal torture, David blurted. Maybe I'm the reason my parents hate each other. Asia froze, her face falling. What, David, Just bye. I'll catch you later, David said, cutting her off. He turned abruptly and walked away, his backpack bouncing against his side. Asia stood there stunned, her eyes welling up. She watched him disappear into the crowd and then hugged her books to her chest, blinking back tears. Chapter 2. Tension. In the cafeteria, David moved quietly through the line and took a tray to a plain chair at a table by himself. He poked at the food, and as the noise around him faded, his mind drifted back to his first day of elementary school. He remembered being 11, sitting at a small desk while his parents stood at the back. They were smiling, but the smiles were stiff. His teacher, Ms. Norman, had approached him with a gentle voice. Hello, David. I'm Ms. Norman. I'll be your English teacher this year. Don't worry if you fall behind. I'll help you catch up. He remembered her asking the class what it meant to be free as a bird. He had looked at the birds on the playground fence and answered, well, when birds fly, they look so free. So I guess, free? Ms. Norman had smiled. Exactly. Free as a bird means feeling completely unrestrained, unburdened, able to do whatever one pleases. David remembered feeling small but capable then. He had wanted to feel like that again, like nothing was holding him down. He blinked, shaking off the memory as the cafeteria noise snapped back. He took a deep breath and picked up his sandwich. When the final bell rang, David exited with the crowd and got into his parents' car. The drive was silent until Samantha asked, "How was school?" "Fine," David shrugged. "What's your problem?" Andrew asked, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "Nothing," David said. When they reached the house, David rushed inside and slammed his bedroom door. In the living room, Andrew stood with a tight jaw. "He's testing my patience." "I don't know why he can't just behave normally," Samantha said. "If he keeps this up, I know exactly what'll fix him," Andrew said, reaching for a leather belt resting on a chair. In his room, David paced, his breathing uneven. He threw a notebook across the room and picked up his periodic table assignment. He stared at it and then ripped it in half. "I hate school. I don't want to go anymore. Ever again," he said. Loud footsteps approached. David froze, his heart pounding. The door flew open, and Andrew stood there. "Are you going to be quiet?" he asked, pulling the belt free. David flinched. Mr. Grimfield said, "David, be quiet. Answer my question. Are you going to sit down, shut up, and do your work?" David's shoulders collapsed, and tears spilled. "Yes. No more tantrums. If I have to come back in here, there will be problems. Now clean up what you messed up. Do it now." As David knelt on the floor picking up the torn paper, Samantha stepped in. "In a way, you were asking for it," she said. "How?" David shouted, flinching. "You can't whine when you don't get your way," she replied. "You're stubborn like your father. This is why you're struggling, because you don't listen." She softened slightly. "If you put all your energy towards school, you could really be something." "I'll be surprised if I even have a future," David said. Samantha lingered, then clicked off the light. David sat in the dark, his thoughts relentless.
"You failed your parents. Your life means nothing. Just give up."
He slid onto his side on the floor, his vision blurring as he fell into a nightmare. In the dream, he was in a bright classroom where Asia was laughing with another boy. He tried to call her name, but no sound came out. Mr. Grimfield appeared and handcuffed David's wrist to a desk. Then his parents walked in. Andrew raised the belt and said,
"This is what happens when you disrespect."
David bolted upright, gasping for air. The room was dark and quiet. He was awake. The next morning, David sat on the edge of his bed, pressing his palms into his eyes. He went through the morning routine mechanically, brushing his teeth, staring at his reflection, and eating a quiet breakfast with his parents. After they dropped him off at school, David watched the car disappear. He didn't go inside. Instead, he walked to a large tree on the edge of the grounds and sat down, pulling his knees up. Asia found him there. She sat down beside him. "David, you can talk to me," she said. "It really hurts me when you don't want to talk." David's jaw tightened. "I'm not trying to hurt you. When I talk, things get worse. Teachers, my parents. It's like, the more I talk, the more I ruin things. So I thought if I didn't go in, maybe nothing bad would happen today. I don't know how to be normal. I'm so tired." "You don't ruin things by talking," Asia said softly, "and you're not hurting me right now." They walked into the school together. Asia tried to ease his nerves by talking about where they lived. David told her he stayed at 206 Slander Way Drive, and Asia was surprised to find they lived in the same neighborhood. As they reached the classroom, David hesitated. "What if I mess it up again?" "Then we deal with it," Asia said. 10 steps. Inside, Mr. Grimfield immediately demanded the assignment. "I ripped it. I was frustrated," David admitted. "Frustrated. And your parents know how often you disappoint them?" Grimfield said. "Full rewrite. And Holloway, your nature project is due in 2 days. Take pictures of animals and explain how they survive. Do it correctly, or you will become a lesson." Mr. Grimfield moved to the whiteboard and wrote in large, harsh strokes, "Periodic table, destroyed." David sat frozen, staring at the board. Asia glanced at him, concern written on her face. Students whispered around them. "Now listen carefully," Mr. Grimfield said. "Your nature project is due in 2 days. I will make an example out of you if you don't do it properly. This is simple. Take pictures of animals like squirrels, birds, or anything in their natural habitat and explain how they survive. Everyone else in this class can do this. Everyone. It's not rocket science. He stepped closer to David, his voice lowering slightly, turning sharp. I expect proper work, not half-hearted attempts, not excuses. I want clear, accurate methods, documented carefully. If you fail, it will be obvious you did not try, and I will ensure the consequences are memorable. David's hands gripped the edge of his desk. Asia watched him, concerned, as the other students continued to whisper. Understand this, Holloway, Mr. Grimfield said. I am not here to coddle anyone. Success is simple. Effort is expected. You will do this correctly, or you will become a lesson. David sat frozen, staring at the whiteboard. Grimfield moved back to the front, adjusting his tie. The class shifted uneasily. The clock struck noon, and class was released. The doors closed behind David. He walked, without looking up, the hallway noise blurring into a dull hum. David moved through the lunch line, his steps steady and automatic. Left turn, right turn. The cafeteria doors came into view. Inside, a slice of bland pizza was dropped onto his tray, followed by an orange and a carton of chocolate milk. He took the tray and walked to a single-seat table near the wall. He sat. The cafeteria was loud, but it dulled into a constant pressure in his ears.
Everyone else can do this.
The voice in his head said. David picked up the orange. He dug his thumb into the peel and pulled.
How much do I even matter?
Another strip of peel came off.
Why can't I just forget? Same thing every day. No one is different.
The orange was fully peeled. David held the fruit in his palm. Tighten. In his mind, he grabbed his father's belt. He swung it. He hit him. Again. Harder. He could hear the belt snapping through the air in his thoughts. His jaw tightened. Then, his mind turned to his mother. He yelled at her. He didn't stop. He said exactly what he was never allowed to say until her face broke and she started crying. His grip tightened further. Orange juice began to leak through his fingers. David looked up. At a table nearby, kids were laughing. One of them laughed louder than the rest. In his mind, David walked over and poured the chocolate milk over their heads. He flipped their trays and watched the food crash to the floor until they stopped laughing. He squeezed the orange harder. The fruit started to collapse. Another image flashed. Grimfield leaning over his desk, talking down to him, correcting him, standing too close. In his mind, David spat in his face. Dead on. He didn't flinch. He just stared at him. The orange is fully crushed. Pulp spilled between David's fingers, and juice ran down his wrist. His hand shook. His fist clenched tight. His teeth ground together. One tear slipped out, but he didn't wipe it away. He just sat there, still, seething, holding everything in. The bell rang, and students spilled out of the building. David slung his backpack over his shoulder. He walked with purpose, but his mind was elsewhere. They want me to feel pain. I'll make sure I become pain. He adjusted his face into a fake smile as he stepped out onto the sidewalk. He spotted Asia walking nearby. Bye, Asia, he said, his voice cheerful and forced. Asia paused, her expression a little concerned. Bye, David. She watched him walk away. From the driveway, Deborah Davis, Asia's mom, noticed. Who's that boy saying goodbye to you? She asked sassily. Just a friend, Asia replied. Deborah's mouth went tight and knowing. We'll talk when we get home. Asia rolled her eyes slightly, but said nothing. Chapter 3. Masking David approached his parents' car. He put on the same fake happy expression, nodding at them as if everything were fine. They didn't question him, assuming he was finally settling in and behaving as they expected. David opened the door, got in, and sat silently. His mind was still burning with the thoughts from the day, though he remained outwardly calm. He slid into the back seat. Samantha was in the passenger seat, and Andrew was driving. The car hummed quietly as they pulled out. You were looking pretty miserable this morning, Samantha said, smiling. Glad to see you actually smiling now. Yeah, I don't even recognize you when you sulk like that, Andrew added with a chuckle. Thought we have to drag you into school on your knees. David forced a small smile, nodding silently. I'm really happy about this attitude change, Samantha said in a serious but warm tone. You were just too much before. It's nice to see you turning things around. Finally, maybe we can actually have a normal ride home for once. Andrew laughed. Yeah, no more headaches for us, Samantha said. We can see it now. You're not sad anymore. Maybe this is the start of something better. David nodded again, keeping his voice low. Yeah, okay. He stared out the window, pretending to take in the scenery, but inside, his thoughts were spinning. He maintained the mask of compliance and normalcy, saying nothing more. The car continued down the street as his parents chattered and laughed, completely unaware that David's inner world remained heavy and dark.
This concludes Project Grimfield. Episode 1, Rising Tension by David Hooker. This audiobook uses AI-generated narration.